I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending June the 14th, where it was sure a Christmas in July this past week, and I know I used that title on a feeder flash earlier this week, but there's no better way to describe it. But nobody saw this coming, with some positive signs in all areas of your cattle market in a week that's usually set aside for kind of doldrums of dog days of summer and extreme heat and heavy market ready supplies and losing market position in your fat cattle market, and nobody getting too excited about buying feeder cattle, and the board being down on you like it usually is this time of year. But the board was surprisingly supportive pretty much all week with some impressive gains. Your fat cattle gained multiple dollars in a week there. You would think that we would just continue to bleed from now until fall. We had two big video sales, and the demand and trade activity just continued to pick up on those through the week. Had some good regular on-site sale barn auctions there, which was very impressive following a holiday week, and they had some decent runs for the midsummer there. And you had a good slaughter. Just everything was good except for your box beef cutout values, and we need to get a little bit of help there. But let's look at everything. Look at the futures market. Live cattle futures Monday was down 95, and we figured we were in for a typical mid-July week there. But then Tuesday was up $1.05, Wednesday up the $3 limit, Thursday off just 45 cents, and then Friday back up 37 cents, with August contracts ending the week at 117.80. That's up $3.03. Most all your attention and activity is going to be in the October, which we'll start talking about that from now on. The October ended the week at 118.57. Feeder cattle Monday was down 35, Tuesday up 257, Wednesday up the $4.50 limit, Thursday up $1.27, and Friday up $1.25 to end the week with August feeder cattle at 154.27, up $9.25 for the week. Wow. Your fat cattle trade, pretty impressive trade for it to be higher, and had decent volume too. Probably will get to over 100,000 in the 5-area feeding region when we find that out this week. But through Thursday, 94,500 head in the 5-area, which is impressive movement. Your live sales are going to average right around 119.50. That's $2 higher. Your dress sales, although normally we had some 190 the week before, but we didn't average that well. But on the average, your dress trade is 190.08, which that there had to be quite a bit of 91 in there to get that weighted average over 190. But that's going to be about $2 higher on the average for it too. Your slaughter was impressive, 637,000. That compares to the same week a year ago by more than 39,000. Very impressive. Your grains were very volatile this week. Your cattle market didn't really know whether to respond to it or not. Normally, when your grains are down big, of course, you get a little boost in your feeder cattle market. But we did see some of that, but it was just so volatile, you couldn't hardly pay attention to it. Your grains just bounced here and there. Thursday, your soybeans were down 46.5 after being up pretty big, but not that much earlier in the week. But just a 30-cent swing in your corn market there between the highs in the week and the lows, and just it's tough to be a farmer when so much of it depends on the contracts that are based off that board, and when they just swing it that far one way or the other. That's the difference between going broke or buying new tractors. But you look at the box beef cutout values, just continue to bleed rapidly, and now we've lost on our choice cutout, has lost nearly 20%, over $40 in the last month, and it's just not showing any signs of going up at all. The weekly average on your weekly average trade choice cutout, 212.93, down 8.16, but actually ended late in the week under 210, so it just continues to go down. Select's average trade for the week was 198.92, down 5.84, and that choice select spread has narrowed down to around $14 now. that you look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index ended the week this past week at 149.53, which was around $4 higher than it ended the week previous to July the 4th. And if you just look at your trends, really we come through the holiday week there unevenly steady, kind of, because I know we're $4 higher than that late week RTI before the 4th of July week, but those sales were starting to wane down a little bit and kind of peel off because we're getting ready to go into that holiday break. But for the most part, your markets this past week, just on a basic market, were just kind of unevenly steady to firm, but you had so much talk about these sharply higher sales, both in the videos and on some special feeder cattle auctions that we had, and those are really kind of pushing the whole market in itself and causing things to be higher. I would expect that we go into these big Monday high volume markets quite a bit higher than we did last week. So everything's looking pretty good, and there's so much talk about these monster high quotes that it's kind of pushing the whole market in itself. You look at the Kansas directs on Market News there, and those double stock cattle in the Flint Hills, the Osage region, had to be off by the end of this past week. So those cattle are gone. So a few guys that own their own pasture out there can kind of come off when they want, but your traditional grazing schedule there, they've got about another month to be on there, and then all the cattle will be off of those major grazing areas there in northern Oklahoma and Kansas. But your Kansas Direct showed 12,700 head of 850 pound cattle in one string. Now that was a big buy, and those cattle wouldn't have had a whole lot of bells and whistles to them, but to come immediately here, 850 pounders at 143 1/4. But we saw that the market on those direct cattle really come up. Talked to some guys that were trying to get 150 for some cattle here a week and a half ago, weighing in the 8s. They couldn't get the 150. By the end of this past week, they were getting 152. So those markets really come up out in the country too. And now those would have been on the very, very top, all black, this read and write type kind of cattle. But you see, we get so many crossbreds and plainer cattle in there too that your bulkier market was still kind of in the 140s. But look at some markets off of the big videos there. Western Video Market had a big sale and really a good one there in Reno, Nevada. It was the first big special that they've had that we've broadcasted on DV Auction. A big success there. Had around 1,200 bids total come through the DV Auction online console there, and really glad to be a part of Western Video Market. It's an impressive professional outfit there. But you look at a quote there on one lot that had 500 steers. The Maddox Cattle Company on some cattle turned out near Laramie, Wyoming. 860 pound steers to come in September. Now they were red Angus. Now the big thing about these cattle, they were top quality cattle, but not really any programs other than just good health and top quality. They were not all natural. They were not hormone free. They were just typical handled cattle there. And 500 of them weighing 860 bring 156.75. Now you got some monster quotes that come out of there, like another deal, the Grand cattle. There were 700 pound steers that were organic and source and age verified, and they bring 191 for October, way up there in Oregon, and they may have already stamped their ticket to head to China, who knows. But Superior had some awful big quotes too there. They had a 5-day sale there, but the quote that I saw on Superior, 474 head from the Pioneer Ranch in Tryon, Nebraska, weighed 875 for September the 1st. Now they were NHTC or natural cattle there, bring 162 weighing 875. That's very impressive. But you look at the way we're coming into this week, and there should be a lot of inertia to carry this market forward going into this week. And that's a look at your markets for last week from a home DV auction office here in Canyon, Texas. We'll talk to you next week.